Hello everyone, welcome to ChemTalk. Today we are starting chapter 3 of class 11 and this is the part 3 of the chapter in which we will study about ionization enthalpy, electron gain enthalpy, electronegativity and diagonal relationship. So let us start our chapter. Topics covered in this part are ionization enthalpy, its definition, electron gain enthalpy, electronegativity, metallic and non-metallic character, oxidation states, definition of all these and how these properties vary when we move from left to right and down the group in the periodic table. Apart from it, we will study about the periodic trends in chemical reactivity and diagonal relationship. So the first topic of this part is ionization energy or ionization enthalpy. Now, the minimum amount of energy required to remove the most loosely bound outermost electron from an isolated gaseous atom is called ionization energy. Now, first of all, you should know the meaning of isolated gaseous atom. Look, mostly the metals form like cation and they have tendency to lose electron, so they are present in the solid form in the crystal lattice. So first we have to convert this metal into gaseous form by supplying energy, and after that we will remove the electron. So this is the meaning of the isolated gaseous atom in this definition. So suppose we have one electron here, like suppose this is the atom, this is the nucleus and this is the electron. This electron is bounded with this nucleus with certain force. So to remove this electron, the energy required is called the ionization energy. So suppose this is the metal atom in the gaseous state. Again, remember this thing in the definition you have to mention this term isolated gaseous atom. There is the question also in NCERT, what do you mean by the term isolated gaseous atom and what is its significance? So please remember this term. Now, so whenever metal atom in the gaseous phase supplied with some energy, then an electron is removed and metal is converted into the cation. So the energy required for this process is termed as the ionization energy or ionization enthalpy. Nowadays we use the term ionization enthalpy. Unit of ionization enthalpy is kilojoule per mole or electron volt per atom. The relation between the electron volt per atom and the kilojoule per mole is 1 electron volt per atom is equal to 96.49 kilojoule per mole. Now the next is successive ionization enthalpies. Now remember one thing, whenever an electron is removed from the isolated gaseous atom, the energy required is called first ionization enthalpy, that is IE1, and it is converted into the unipositive ion. Now when we remove electron from the unipositive ion, then the energy required is called ionization enthalpy 2, that is the second ionization enthalpy, and it is converted into dipositive ion. When one electron is further removed from the dipositive ion, then the energy required is called ionization enthalpy 3 or third ionization enthalpy, and the dipositive ion is converted into the tripositive ion. So these are the successive ionization enthalpies. Always remember one thing, that the energy required to remove third electron, that is IE3, is greater than IE2 and it is greater than IE1. Now what is the reason for this? The reason is that after removal of the first electron, the atom is changes into unipositive ion. Now you know that positive ion is having less size and proton are more than that of the electron, hence the attraction, nuclear attraction per electron increases. Hence more energy is needed to remove the electron, hence IE2 is greater than that of IE1. Similarly, in dipositive ion, number of electrons are further decreases, so the nuclear attraction per electron is more, and hence the removal of third electron required more energy, that is IE3 is greater than that of IE2. Now the next one more thing should be noted here, that if the removal of the first, second or third electron results in the removal of the valence shell, then the next electron require very high amount of energy for its removal. For example, in case of sodium, the ionization enthalpy second is very more than that of IE1. Now what is the reason? Sodium is having configuration 281. So after losing one electron, it acquire noble gas configuration or stable configuration. So this process is favorable. So the energy required is very less, that is 495 kilojoule per mole. But now sodium plus ion is in stable configuration, that is 281 configuration, and it is very difficult to remove electron. It has no tendency to remove electron now. But if we want to remove electron and convert it into Na+2 ion, then this process required high amount of energy, that is 4581 kilojoule per mole energy, and this is not available in normal condition. That is why Na+2 ion is not formed. Now the next topic is factors on which the ionization enthalpy depends. The first factor is magnitude of the nuclear charge. You know that more the nuclear charge means the more the number of protons, more will be its attraction towards the electron, and it is difficult to remove the electron, hence ionization enthalpy is more. So in short, we can say that ionization enthalpy is directly proportional to the nuclear charge. More the nuclear charge, more will be the ionization enthalpy. Now the next is size of the atom. You know that more the size of the atom, by less force the electron of the outermost shell is bounded with the nucleus, so less energy will be required to remove this electron. That means ionization enthalpy is inversely proportional to the size of the atom. More the size, less will be the ionization enthalpy. Less the size of the atom, more will be the ionization enthalpy. Now the third thing is screening effect. So first you should know what is screening effect. You know that this is the nucleus of the atom, and suppose this is the outermost shell. Now between the outermost shell and the nucleus there are different shells which are present inside the valence shell, or you can say between the valence shell and the nucleus. So more the number of the intervening shells, more is the screening effect. You understand this thing, like suppose these shells act as the wall between the nucleus and the outermost electron, or you can say that they shield the outermost electron from the nuclear attraction. So more the number of shells in between the nucleus and the outermost electron, more is the shielding effect. Further, screening effect of different orbitals of the same shell is in the order. S is having more screening effect because it is having spherical in shape, then followed by P, which is having dumbbell shape. Then d orbital having poor screening because of their bidumbbell shape, there are so many gaps between them, and f orbitals having very poor screening effect. Screening effect is also known as shielding effect. Now the next factor on which the ionization enthalpy depends is penetration effect of the electrons. Now first you should know what is the penetration effect. You know that if I am talking about the same shell, suppose I am talking about the fourth shell. So in fourth shell there are 4s, 4p, 4d and 4f orbitals are present, and the 4s orbitals are more closer to the nucleus. This is the nucleus, and 4s orbital are more closer to the nucleus, so its penetrating effect is more, means more closer the orbital from the nucleus, more is its penetration effect. So s orbital is more penetrating than p, p is more penetrating than d, and d is more penetrating than f. So the order of the penetration power of the different orbitals of the same shell is s is greater than p, p is greater than d, d is greater than f. Now the next is electronic configuration. The electronic configuration is stable only when the atom has inert gas configuration, that means the 8 electron in the outermost shell. Here exception is helium, which is having 2 electrons. On the other hand, if the atom has full-filled configuration like NS2 configuration or NP6 configuration or half-filled configuration like NP3 configuration, these configurations are stable. In short, we can say that full-filled and half-filled configurations are more stable than the other configuration. So if we have to remove from such configurations, then we have to supply more energy. So such stable configuration, the value of first ionization enthalpies are very high. Now the next is variation of ionization enthalpy in periodic table. Then that means how it vary when we move left to right in a period or when we move down the group. So first I am taking variation of ionization enthalpy in a period. Now on moving left to right in a period, size decreases, we know that, and the distance between the nucleus and the valence shell is less. So the outer electron more tightly held by the nucleus and more energy is required to remove this electron. Hence, on moving left to right, the ionization enthalpy increases. Now, variation in a group. When we move down the group top to bottom, then the size gradually increases because the number of shells increases. Hence, the shielding effect or screening effect on the outermost shell is increasing, or the outermost shell electron bound with the nucleus with less force, we can say. So the less energy is required to remove this electron. That means ionization enthalpy decreases down the group. Now there are some exceptions of this general trend. The first thing is that we know that on moving left to right, the ionization enthalpy mostly increases because the size is less. But beryllium is having more ionization enthalpy than that of boron because of its stable configuration. That is 1s2 2s2. Boron is having 1s2 2s2 2p1. So it is easier to remove electron from 2p1 because boron attains stable configuration after removing this electron. On the other hand, it is difficult to remove electron from the beryllium. So the ionization enthalpy of beryllium is more than that of boron. Similarly, the ionization enthalpy of nitrogen is greater than that of oxygen because nitrogen is having a stable p3 configuration and it is difficult to remove electron from the stable configuration. On the other hand, oxygen is having 2p4 configuration and after removing one electron it attains 2p3 stable configuration. Hence the electron is easily removed and its ionization enthalpy is less. Now the next trend is electron gain enthalpy. First of all, you should know what is the definition. The enthalpy change taking place when an isolated gaseous atom accepts an electron to form a monovalent anion. Now, suppose this is the isolated gaseous atom X, and when it gains electron, then it is converted into the uninegative ion or monovalent anion. Now, the energy change during this process, I am using the word energy change because this energy may be released or maybe you have to supply. Now, the unit of ionization enthalpy is electron volt per atom or kilojoule per atom. Now, again the process may be exothermic or endothermic depending upon the element. If the energy is released, then electron gain enthalpy value is negative. Look here children, delta H is the enthalpy change. H is the symbol for enthalpy, delta is change in enthalpy and Eg denote electron gain. So, delta EgH means change in electron gain enthalpy. So this energy is or enthalpy is negative when the energy is released, and if we have to supply energy then the value is positive. For example, suppose we have chlorine in the gaseous form having configuration 287. When it accepts one electron, which is easy for chlorine because after accepting one electron it is converted into the Cl minus having a stable configuration, that is 288. So this process is actually favorable. So the energy is released in this process and this released energy is electron gain enthalpy for the chlorine, and minus 348 kilojoule per mole is the value. Minus sign indicate that energy is released in this process. Now in some cases, atoms do not have any tendency to accept electron because it is already having the stable configuration. In such cases, the value of enthalpy change is maybe 0 or maybe slightly negative, or it may be positive. Now, for example, in case of beryllium, configuration 2s2, that is a stable configuration. Then in case of magnesium, again stable configuration 2s2. In case of nitrogen, again stable configuration 2p3. In such cases, the electron gain enthalpy is almost 0 or very slight positive. On the other hand, in case of like noble gases, it is having stable full-filled configuration. In this case, it is not possible to accept electron by the noble gas atom. So the delta H, that is the electron gain enthalpy, is positive in this case because means we have to supply energy for the process. Now the next is factors on which electron gain enthalpy depend. First is size of the atom. Now you know that more the size of the atom, the distance between the nucleus and the incoming electron is more, and hence it is having less tendency to accept electrons, so smaller will be the negative value of the enthalpy, electron gain enthalpy. Or you can say that the electron gain enthalpy is inversely proportional to the size of the atom. Now the next is magnitude of the nuclear charge. electron gain enthalpy is directly proportional to the nuclear charge. Why? Because if the nuclear charge increases, the attraction towards the incoming electron increases, and the larger value of negative value of the electron gain enthalpy. Now the third is electronic configuration. If the atom has stable configuration, means half filled or full filled configuration, that is having less tendency to accept electron. So it has no tendency to take electron. That means electron gain enthalpy is 0 or maybe positive. Now the next is variation of electron gain enthalpy in periodic table. How it changes when we move left to right in a period or when we move down the group. So first I am taking variation in a period. When we move left to right in a period, then size decreases, nuclear charge increases, that is the number of protons increases, and incoming electron feel great attraction towards the nucleus, hence the negative value of electron gain enthalpy increases. Now again exceptions are there. Beryllium and magnesium, they are having full filled Ns2 shell, stable configuration, that is why the ionization enthalpy is less negative. Now here in group 15, nitrogen and phosphorus, half filled configuration is there, again stable configuration, so it is having very less negative electron gain enthalpy or maybe positive electron gain enthalpy. Group 18 have positive electron gain enthalpy because it is having full filled Np6 shell. So in all these three cases, maybe the electron gain enthalpy value is very small negative or it may be positive. Now variation of electron gain enthalpy in a group. On moving down the group, we know that size increases due to the introduction of new shells. Incoming electron feel less attraction towards the nucleus, and hence the value of electron gain enthalpy is less negative. Now some exceptions, again this exception is very important children. In general trend, when we move down the group, size increases. Now when size increases, the electron gain enthalpy decreases. This is the general trend. That means if we compare the electron gain enthalpy of fluorine and chlorine, then the chlorine's ionized electron gain enthalpy should be less, but the chlorine electron gain enthalpy is more, that is 348 kilojoule per mole, and the fluorine's electron gain enthalpy is less, that is 333 kilojoule per mole. Now let us understand this thing. Now you know that fluorine is having smaller size and chlorine is having bigger size, and outermost electron are 7 in both the cases. So now here 7 electron occupied the less area, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. These are the 7 electrons. Now when incoming electron to come towards the fluorine, then it feels repulsion from the electron which are already present on the surface of the small size fluorine atom. So it is, fluorine is having less tendency to accept this electron, and hence the value of fluorine is less, that is minus 333 kilojoule per mole. On the other hand, chlorine is having bigger size and electrons are scattered all over. The 7 electrons are scattered. So the incoming electron feel less repulsion, and hence the electron gain enthalpy value for chlorine is more than that of fluorine, that is minus 348 kilojoule per mole. This is very important in class 11th and in class 12th again. Now the next topic is successive electron gain enthalpies. When one electron is added to the isolated gaseous atom, it is converted into the uninegative ion, and the energy change is called first electron gain enthalpy, that is delta EgH1. When uninegative ion accept one electron, it is converted into dinegative ion, and the energy change is called second electron gain enthalpy or delta EgH2, and similarly delta EgH3 and so on. Now whenever electron is added to the uninegative ion, the second electron gain enthalpy is always positive. Remember this thing. Now what is the reason for this? The reason is after accepting one electron, suppose I am taking example of oxygen. When one electron is added to oxygen, it is converted into O minus, right? And energy released in this process is called electron gain enthalpy, that is minus 141 kilojoule per mole. When one electron is further added to O negative, so O is already negatively charged, this electron feel repulsion from the negative charged oxygen oxide ion, hence it is having less tendency to accept this electron. Hence the value of the second electron gain enthalpy is always positive, and it is plus 780 kilojoule per mole in case of formation of O minus 2 from O minus. Now similarly, addition of the third and fourth electron required more energy, that is the values of successive electron gain enthalpies are more positive. Now the next trend is electronegativity. First of all, we should know the definition of electronegativity. It is the tendency of an atom in a molecule to attract the shared pair of electron towards itself. Now, suppose this is the bond which is formed between hydrogen and chlorine. This is hydrogen and this is chlorine. So one is having, because these are two different atoms, different protons, so chlorine is having more protons, so it attracts the shared pair of electron towards itself with greater force. That means it is having partial negative charge, and that means this is more electronegative atom. So how we define it? I am again repeating it. The tendency of an atom in a molecule to attract the shared pair of electron towards itself is called electronegativity. Now the factors on which electronegativity depends. The first is effective nuclear charge or number of protons. More the effective nuclear charge, more will be the electronegativity. For example, here fluorine is having 1 proton, chlorine is having 17 protons. So 17 proton having more nuclear charge, effective nuclear charge. So chlorine attracts the electron pair towards itself with greater force. Hence chlorine is more electronegative. Next is atomic size. Now smaller the atomic size, more will be the electronegativity, because the distance between the nucleus and the bonded electron is less, hence is attracted by the nucleus with greater force. Now one thing should be noted here, that electronegativity of an element is not fixed, but it varies depending upon the element by which it is bonded, and it is measured by Pauling scale. Now coming to the variation of electronegativity in periodic table. First I am taking variation in a period. When we move left to right in a period, then nuclear charge increases, that is the number of proton increases, size decreases, hence electronegativity increases. When we move down the group top to bottom, then atomic size increases due to the introduction of new shells, and hence electronegativity decreases. Now as electronegativity, when we move left to right, it increases, and when we move down the group, it decreases. So you know that here, एक्सेप्ट मैं नोबल गैसेस को छोड़ रही हूं, तो यहां पे जो एलिमेंट आता है दैट इज द फ्लोरीन, विच इज द एलिमेंट ऑफ द ग्रुप 17. So this element is having the highest value, because नीचे जाने पे भी वैल्यू कम हो रही है, इधर जाने पे भी वैल्यू कम हो रही है. So fluorine is the most electronegative element of the periodic table, followed by oxygen here, followed by nitrogen, and chlorine is also having similar value of electronegativity like oxygen. So oxygen and chlorine are having similar value of electronegativities. Now the next important topic is, what is the difference between the electron gain enthalpy and electronegativity. So the first difference is, electron gain enthalpy is the tendency of an isolated gaseous atom to attract an electron, means definition of electron gain enthalpy. On the other hand, electronegativity is the tendency of an atom in a molecule to attract the shared pair of electron towards itself. So second point is, the electron gain enthalpy is the property of an isolated atom, while electronegativity is the property of the bonded atom. The third difference is that electron gain enthalpy does not change regularly in a period. There are exceptions when it comes to the stable configuration, but electronegativity changes regularly in a period. On moving left to right, it increases. On moving down the group, it decreases. Now electron gain enthalpy is measured in electron volt per atom or kilocalorie per mole or kilojoule per mole, means they are having specific units, but electronegativity is just a number and it has no unit. Now the next is periodic trends in chemical properties. So first I am taking valency or oxidation state. We know that combining capacity of an element is called its valency, and valency is determined by the number of valence electrons. For example, metals have 1, 2 or 3 electrons in their outermost shell, so their valency is 1, 2 and 3 respectively. On the other hand, the elements of the carbon family, they are having 4 electrons, so their valency is 4. After carbon, when we move towards non-metals, then the number of valence electrons are 5, 6 or 7. So their valency is determined by 8 minus 5, 8 minus 6 and 8 minus 7. That means their valency is 3, 2, 1 respectively, like in case of nitrogen 3 valency, oxygen 2 valency and chlorine 1 valency. Now, so we can say that we can determine the valency with the help of valence electron. It is equal to maybe the number of valence electron or 8 minus number of valence electron. Coming to the oxidation number, we use the oxidation state in the present chapter as valency only. Then we will study about it in the redox reaction more properly. Now the next is variation of valency in a period. On moving left to right, we know that valency first increases from 1 to 4 and then it decreases from 4 to 0. Inert gases having 0 valency. Now variation of valency in a group. When we move down the group, the valency remains same because the number of valence electron remains same. For example, the valency of group 1 is 1, group 2 is 2, 13 is 3, 14, 4 and so on. Now, the same valency of all the group members is the reason for the periodicity. That means because of the similar valency, similar valence electron, their chemical properties are similar. D block elements show variable valency, which we will study in the class 12th when we study the D block element. Now the next is metallic and non-metallic character. You know that metals are the element which loses electron and form cations, and non-metals are the elements which gain electron and form anion. So now in a period when we move left to right, the size of the atom decreases, and because the size decreases, so it have less tendency to lose electron, and we know that the loss of electron is the tendency of metal. So the metallic character decreases left to right. On the other hand, we can say non-metallic character increases left to right. Now coming to the top to bottom, the size increases, so the tendency to lose electron increases. That means the metallic character increases and non-metallic character decreases. So in general we can say metallic character decreases when we move left to right and it increases when we move top to bottom. So that is why if we compare the metallic character of sodium and lithium and sodium, so sodium is more metallic than the lithium. On the other hand, if I compare the metallic character of sodium, that is having atomic number 11, and magnesium, then sodium is again more metallic than magnesium. Now the next is reactivity of metals and non-metals in a period. First, when we move left to right in a period, metallic character decreases. So the reactivity of metal decreases on moving left to right, and the non-metallic character increases left to right, so the reactivity of non-metal increases left to right. On the other hand, when we move in a group top to bottom, the metallic character increases, hence the reactivity of metal also increases down the group. On the other hand, non-metallic character down the group decreases, so the reactivity of non-metal also decreases down the group. Now the next is reducing and oxidizing character. Metals have good tendency to lose electron, means loss of electron is called oxidation. So metal undergoes oxidation. That means they are good reducing agents. Now, as we move down the group, metallic character increases. So reducing character also increases down the group. While when we move left to right, the metallic character decreases. So the reducing character of metal also decreases. Now, non-metals are good oxidizing agent because non-metals are formed by gain of electron, and gain of electron is reduction. So the process is reduction, hence non-metal undergoes reduction. That means they are good oxidizing agent. Now non-metallic character increases left to right in a period. So oxidizing nature of non-metal also increases left to right. On the other hand, when we move down the group, the non-metallic character decreases, and hence the oxidizing character of non-metal also decreases down the group. Now the next topic is nature of oxide. Metals form basic oxide. For example, Na2O, K2O, they are basic in nature. Non-metals form acidic oxide. For example, Cl2O7 and CO2, etc. Some elements which are present in the middle of the metals and non-metals in the periodic table, they either form neutral oxide or amphoteric oxide. Example of neutral oxides are carbon monoxide, nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide. Neutral oxide means they are neither acidic nor basic. Some oxides are amphoteric in nature. For example, aluminium and zinc oxide. The amphoteric oxide means they exhibit both acidic and basic behavior. In the presence of base, they behaves like acidic oxide, and in the presence of acid, they behaves like basic oxide. For example, Al2O3. Al2O3 when reacts with acid, it behaves like base and forms salt and water, AlCl3, that is aluminum chloride and water. On the other hand, whenever it reacts with base, that is NaOH, it acts as acid. So Al2O3 plus NaOH plus H2O, it will give NaAlOH whole thrice, and the name is sodium trihydroxyaluminate. So in this way, aluminium oxide acts as amphoteric oxide, that it exhibited both acidic as well as basic behavior. So now the next topic is anomalous properties of the second period element and diagonal relationship. Now it is observed that the first member of each group which belongs to the second period differ in many respects from the rest of the group members of the same group. For example, lithium and beryllium form covalent compound while the other members of the group form ionic compound. Now, what is the reason that the head elements show different behavior or anomalous behavior? The reason is, first is their small size. Second is large charge by mass ratio, because the valency is same, but the size of the head element is very less. So charge by mass ratio is large. Third is high electronegativity because of their small size, high ionization enthalpy, and absence of d orbital. Due to these reasons, the behavior of the head element is different from the rest of the group members. Now some properties of the head elements which are different from the rest of the group members are, the first property is they show the maximum covalency of 4. Covalency you can understand by that how many bonds they form with the central atom. So if I am talking about the head element, they have only s orbital and p orbital because d orbitals are not present. So 1 s orbital and 3 p orbital. Total orbitals available for bonding are 4. So the maximum covalency of head element is 4 only. Right. So they show the covalency of 4. But the other group members have d orbitals also. So they can extend their covalency beyond 4. For example, boron, which is the head member, show the covalency of 4 and only form Bf4 minus. But aluminium can form Alf6 minus 3. That means it can extend its covalency beyond 4 because it has 3d orbitals available for bonding. But boron cannot form Bf6 minus 3. This is very important question. Now the second difference is that the head element, that is the second period element, can form p-pi multiple bond by themselves or with other elements of the particular group. For example, carbon form bond with carbon, C double bond C, C double bond O, C triple bond C, C triple bond N. Now what is the reason is for this? Because the similar size, carbon oxygen is having almost similar size, carbon nitrogen is having almost similar size, so there is collateral overlapping possible. So overlapping is possible because of the similar size of the orbital. Rest of the group members are different from the like carbon, and if I am talking about the next element of the group, so due to the presence of d orbital, their size is more, so the due to the size difference, the overlapping is not possible. Hence the p-pi multiple bond is not possible with the other members. Now the next topic is diagonal relationship. So we know that the head member of the groups is different from the rest of the group member, but at the same time they show similarity with the element which is present diagonally to it, having different group and different period. For example, lithium shows similarity with magnesium, beryllium shows similarity with aluminium, boron shows similarity with silicon, carbon shows similarity with phosphorus. And this similarity in properties is called diagonal relationship. Now, what is the cause of diagonal relationship? When we move diagonally, then the atomic radius becomes similar, or you can say electropositive character are similar, or the polarizing power, that is the ionic charge by radius square ratio is similar. Or in simple way, you can say that when we move left to right, electronegativity increases. When we move down the group, electronegativity decreases. That means when we move diagonally, the electronegativity remain same. So due to the same electronegativity, the properties are similar. So the lithium shows similarity or in properties with magnesium, beryllium, with aluminium, and so on. So this is the reason for the diagonal relationship. Thank you. Hope you like the video. If you like it, please hit the like button and also subscribe my channel for the notifications of the upcoming videos. And please check the description box for the previous two part of this chapter. Thank you.